So the first question goes that do you recall when you heard metal music for the first time?
Absolutely recall it. I was 7 years old and my sister played me, she played me the Black Sabbath album, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. And it was from that moment when that riff kicked in, that I knew metal was my life. And I've never looked back. So 7 years old, yeah, that was a long time ago. So yeah, that was my first moment of metal. So I remember, and I remember it well.
So was Black Sabbath the sort of like band for you that made you become a musician, or was that like another story?
No, Sabbath were the band that made me want to actually be a musician. Their music over the years, because they changed, their incarnations really did change, the music evolved as well, and I evolved as I got older. I mean, I was also listening to other types of music as well, punk, and then when sort of the thrash metal began, and then of course death metal, and here we are now. But of course things changed, so I followed those changes, and it helped me evolve with my music. And I would still say that it was Black Sabbath that made me want to be in a band. So even though throughout the years, yeah, Sabbath were the ones that made me want to do this. This is why I'm doing this right now.
So do you remember what was in metal that sort of like caught your attention and made you fall in love with it?
Well, like I say, that initial riff on the Black Sabbath album, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, that riff just, it was a crystallization moment in my mind. Hearing that was, it just made me think, wow, this is amazing. What else is out there? You know, what else could I listen to that makes me feel this good? And that's what happened. And years later, I'd listen to other albums by other bands, such as Bolt Thrower, when I listened to the Bolt Thrower album For Victory. This was long before I was a member of the band. I get goosebumps, and the hairs would stand up on my arm. Also, Queens of the Stone Age, they did that for me. So much so, I mean, I have a tattoo of them. I love that. And it sort of makes, when you get that goosebump feeling, the hair stand up on your arms, and yeah, that's a moment that you know that the band is doing something for you. And yeah, it's something that I love. There's a lot of bands that have done that for me. I've just mentioned the ones that are, the most prolific, but there's a lot of smaller bands as well that have done that. And I could go on for hours about how many. But yeah, it's that's the sign for me. When a good band gives me goosebumps.
So what made you like a death metal musician and also vocalist?
I was a punk bass player originally, and the thing is, I was a really bad bass player. So I gave that up, and the band I was in, the punk band that I was doing, the singer left to go away for a few months, traveling around Europe, and so I took over the bass and vocal duties on this, and I found that I really enjoyed singing more than I did playing the bass. So when I met the guys from Benediction in 1990 in the pub, and they said, we don't, Barney's quit, he's left for Napalm Death, we need a singer. That's when I said, I'll do it. And here we are today.
So in terms of growling, what kind of early memories do you have? Were you losing your voice all the time? And when you started, were you first mimicking other vocalists before you sort of developed your own way to sing and growl?
If I've ever mimicked anyone, it's the two people I took influences from, and that was Tonji Warrior and Cam Lee from Massacre. So, and that's it. As for vocal problems, yeah, everyone has problems. I used to smoke. I used to smoke cigarettes. I don't anymore, and yeah, that's actually made my voice feel a lot better over the years. I mean, I quit smoking 12 years ago. So, you know, don't smoke. I mean, right now I work for cancer research. I can tell you, do not smoke. It's really fucking bad for you. But yeah, I didn't take from too many people, but definitely Tom G. Warrior and Cam Lee. And you know what? Both those guys are now good friends of mine. So I'm a happy man with that. So that's fucking really cool.
So were you first sort of like covering them and singing their songs, or did you jump like almost immediately like doing your own music?
No, doing my own with Benediction. There was the bands I was in prior to Benediction, the earlier bands, but no, it was always you know, my own stuff, our own material. There was on the Ground Leveler album, we did do a cover version of Celtic Frost's Return to the Eve, which came out, I think it was just the CD bonus track or something. But yeah, and we used to play it live too, because it was fun to play live. But maybe we'll do it again, I don't know. Maybe we should play it with Triptychon one time and ask Tom if he'll come and do vocals with us or something.
That would be cool.
That would be absolute. That would be the pinnacle of my life. So yeah, that would be fucking awesome.
So how long did it take for you, time-wise, to figure out the right technique for the growling so that you wouldn't lose your voice?
I think, like I said, when I quit smoking, that was the best way of getting the technique, because I have a lot less problems now at a later age of life. Like I'm sort of 55 now. Am I 55 or am I 54? I've lost count. Anyway, I'm at whatever age. Thing is, back in my 20s when I smoked a lot, I was fucking up my voice every night after I'd sing and I'd drink beer and whatever. Now I can do a lot more. And for my age, whatever the hell it is, because I can't remember, then yeah, it's so much better. As long as I don't overdo it with the drink and yeah, take care of my voice with the usual sort of exercises before I sing. That's it. It's really easy. It's not rocket science. It's not quantum physics. It's death metal.
So what kind of like early memories do you have when it comes to the first like recordings that you did as a death metal vocalist? Was it like, were you sort of like ready to be in a studio like many days in a row and growl your lungs out, or was it like difficult?
No, it actually wasn't difficult. It was done in the same city I lived in, Birmingham, yeah, you know, I could take time out if I was feeling too much or too bad or whatever. And usually when I take the time out, I'd go and have a cigarette, which was stupid, of course. But yeah, now I'm a lot wiser now. But it really did work back then, how we were recording, and we've done the same thing where, you know, one person would work, then the next person, then I would jump in and do my thing, and then I'd take a day off or something, and somebody else would come in, and we still work the same way. It's a really good way of doing things, because I get to rest. They don't get to burn themselves out playing the guitar, you know, for 75 hours. So it does work, and it's a good thing.
So what kind of like memories do you have when it comes to the first proper tours that you did? Were you sort of ready as a vocalist to do like many shows in a row, and did you actually learn anything from it, or was it more like a party trip around the Europe? Or
oh, it was a party for sure. Did I learn anything? Yeah, I learned that I couldn't overdo it, and I did overdo it, and I suffered on that tour. But yeah, of course. It's a learning curve. It's a learning process, and you have to learn while you're doing it. You can't just, well, I did. You just go in, do all that shit, have a great time, get wasted every night. Yeah, can't do that now. Okay, we're doing two shows in a row right now. We're doing here in Helsinki, tomorrow we're in Austria. For sure we can get really drunk tonight and then really drunk tomorrow and have a good party and etc, etc. You know, we can do all that. It's only 2 days, but you can't do that for 5 weeks in a row. Certainly I can't do that anymore. So you have to be sensible about things. And back when we started, when we were doing the very first tour, we weren't sensible. we just went ahead and did everything we could and partied hard. But it was the early 90s and we were just starting out. We were just young kids. So, but it's memories that we take with us forever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like warming up, do you have some kind of like warm-up routine? Has that changed, or are you like the old school type of guy that you just go up on stage and warm up during the show, or how does it happen for you?
Well, I've just done it. There it was.
Okay.
Seriously, that's it. You have a drink, because having a beer, it relaxes your body. It's sort of, you know, it's liquid, lubricates your throat. Don't drink too much, but you know, just enough. Well, and really, that is the best advice I could give. You don't have to do the breathing exercises. You don't have to do all the for 2 hours. You don't have to do all that. For me, it's just have a beer, chat with the guys. You know, make sure that you're talking. You're not just being quiet. You're talking to people. And really, just have a beer. Right, that's the best thing. And but don't overdo it. When you're on stage, then you can overdo it. Right? but before, just have a few. You're all right.
So are there like some specific foods or drinks that you wouldn't rather have before the show, that you have felt that they harm somehow your vocal cords, or on the opposite way, something that helps you with the singing and growling?
Absolutely nothing at all. But what I do personally, there's nothing that I'll eat that makes things sound better or whatever. But I won't eat meat. I will eat vegetarian or vegan when I'm at a gig, because there was one time I ate a burger and I got really sick before I went on stage, and that's just not good. So, you know, always vegetarian or vegan before I go on stage. It's you know, it's a bit of a gamble. If you want to eat something, it's always best to wait until you finish the gig. But if you're hungry, I would say, vegan, vegetarian. Don't fuck up your stomach, because the last thing you want to do is shit yourself while you're on stage. And that's what I didn't shit myself, but this one gig, it was with my old band, just before dawn. I walked off to the side and threw up because I got food poisoning.
Okay.
So
that doesn't sound too good to perform.
No, it's not. But then, you know, people see it happen and they think, yeah, it's death metal. It's like, no, it's not. It's fucking food poisoning. But you have to carry on and finish the show. And I felt like shit, and it wasn't fun. But so from now on, you know, I will prefer to eat vegetarian food before I go on stage. That's the only thing. There's nothing you can eat that can change your vocals. Maybe if you want to eat some ginger or something, but I find that better in tea.
So obviously you've released a lot of albums with Benediction, and also albums with a lot of different projects, like for example Bolt Thrower
and Hell, Frost and Fire.
So are there like some specific albums that you could pinpoint from the discography that you have felt that you have taken a big step forward as a vocalist, learned something new about yourself, for example?
As a vocalist, no. Maybe as a lyricist, yes. There's certain things. For example, let me see. There's the one band, Down Among the Dead Men. Every song is written about the TV show that I absolutely love, Doctor Who, which, you know, I've got a lot of tattoos of. So, yeah, there's that. There's the one other band, Echelon, which is, I sing about Satanism. I'm a member of the Church of Satan. I'm a priest in the Church of Satan. And it's a big part of my life. It's important to me. So I have that. Then there's a band called Formaldehydist, where we sing about drinking alcohol, basically.
Basic stuff.
Yeah, very basic stuff, and it's very silly music, but it's fun. There's another one like Hell, Frost and Fire, which, as you can maybe tell by the name, Hellfrost, we're fans. I'm fans of Hellhammer, Celtic Frost.
Yep.
So, and that's what the band's really much about, is a tribute to Hellhammer and Celtic Frost. So there's so much, and I try to sort of keep a wide swathe open when it comes to my projects, because the lyrics will always be slightly different in each one. Another example is one of the newer ones. It's not been recorded properly. The music has, but not the vocals yet. A project called Sand Cadaver. It's a doom project, and it's going to be different to anything I've done before.
So are you going to be also singing a little bit differently with that?
A little on a couple of songs. The one song sounds like a Motorhead song where Lemmy was very sort of laid back, and I'm going to do that. There's no way I'm singing, I'm not doing that shit, because it just doesn't work. But I'm going to try some sort of lighter death metal vocals on certain things. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge, and I love a challenge. So we'll see how that works out. But right now we're sort of working on a new Benediction album, but I can't say any more.
Obviously, the latest Benediction album, Scriptures, was released in 2020. Are there like something vocally that you did, some new things that you haven't done before or tried?
Actually, for that one, I just stood in front of the microphone and shouted, which is what I do for most vinyl, for most albums. There wasn't new stuff. The technique of recording was to record 3 versions of every line of the song. Okay. And then the producer, Scott, would sort of choose which ones to use, which were the best. And that was pretty cool. It was really hard, because it would mean that recording one song would take over an hour, which would mean, and we play gigs for over an hour. So for every song I recorded, it was like playing a gig. And that was painful after a couple of days. So
how many hours did you do per day?
About 4 or 5. So
okay, so you have that kind of stamina that you could actually do it for that long time.
It's stamina, but it's fucking painful stamina. Okay. So I have to be careful. And for the next one, I'm going to have a word with the producer, Scott, and say like there's certain things I'm going to need rather than just going straight on with it.
So there's obviously few vocalists in extreme metal who like to cup the microphone when they perform. So what's your take on that?
It's their way of performing. I mean, I sort of hold it like that on the microphone, slightly cupped, but not completely cupped. It's not. I have no. To be honest, I have no opinion on it. It's not my performance; it's theirs. So let them get on with it.
So last question. Any kind of advice that you would like to give to a young metal vocalist who is just about to start a journey?
Yeah. When things seem hard, when things seem tough, and you think you're not getting anywhere, don't give up. This is your art that you're putting out there. This is what you're creating. These are your babies, your children, as it were. Never give up and never give in. Keep at it. Don't listen to what people say when they say, "Oh, you just get your hair cut and get a job." No, No. Keep going. It's your art, and art is vital to this world, and we need more art. So keep going. Right. I know it's frustrating, and I know, but persevere, please. I say that word in the song Magnificat. Persevere, and that's for the artists out there. Please do persevere.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.